Romance is cyclical, but it does come back. And the number one way I like to do it is, well, I always say feelings follow focus. Or as, Jesus put it, as a pastor, I always tell people where your treasure is, that's where your heart is following.
And it's you and me, babe, whatever comes. Knowing bigger hands are holding ours, and the greatest days are ahead of us. Growing in love, learning to be a better us.
Hi there, so glad you've joined us for A Better Us. Welcome to our home.
So, how are you feeling? When asked that question, we usually think of physically, I'm feeling pretty good. But what about your feelings? How are they?
And those feelings, can we really trust them? Are they good indicators of how we're doing in life, or are they just a gauge of how we're doing today?
As we've talked to couples across the country, they often bring up the fact that the feelings they once had for their spouse have changed. The emotional flames that were once there have cooled. In today's Loveology segment, Pastor Peter Haas will answer the age-old question about our feelings. How do I fall back in love with my spouse?
Our kitchen couples will have a lot to say about that. And also, Doctors Les and Leslie Parrott will talk about what it means to have a shared vision for our marriage and how important it is for the long haul.
It's going to be a good show, so stay with us.
So, Peter, this question comes in from somebody who has been married a while, and they're saying, I want to fall back in love with my spouse. I've lost those love and feelings. What do you suggest?
Well, I'll tell you, feelings come and go. It's like the seasons, I think over the 26 years I've been married, my wife and I have gone through all sorts of phases. There was the phase where I gained 40 pounds and she looked great. And then there was the phase where we reversed it. She gained 40 pounds and then I lost all the weight. And then there was me getting my major diagnosis and I acted like a depressed, I was in a funk for a while. And I'm sure there were plenty of years she was like, this is not the man I married. Well, and vice versa. And I always tell people, hey, listen, romance is cyclical, but it does come back. And the number one way I like to do it is, well, I always say feelings follow focus. Desire follows attention. Or as, Jesus put it, as a pastor, I always tell people where your treasure is, that's where your heart is following, Matthew 6:21. And so, it's kind of like you nurture to your job or your hobbies, your emotions go there. It's kind of like, a while back, my wife and I moved to Wisconsin for about 9 years, and there's nothing going on in Wisconsin except for the Green Bay Packers, right? And so my wife married this artistic poet, songwriter who, and then next thing you know, I turned into a major football guy. She was like, what has happened to my husband? He's like a totally different person on stat websites. And the truth is feelings followed focus. Just like I started attending to football, my desire and my enjoyment of it increased. Well, same thing can happen in marriage. I think a lot of people, they get caught in child rearing, co-management of the household, and they forget to attend to each other and date each other. And as a result, those feelings are just all over the place.
That's so
I'm sure
good.
you've seen that too, Les, over the years.
For sure. And I love that idea, though, of feelings follow focus, because there's an energy level that we devote to our spouse that needs to be cultivated sometimes. It's like you said, it's an ebb and flow to our feelings. And so if your feelings aren't there and you want to fall back in love with your spouse, you got to focus on what it is that brought you together in the first place, like you're saying, and then draw your energy, your attention to them, get to know them again, right? And so
absolutely.
So helpful.
Well, and there's a discipline that comes to attending to your spouse, like taking consistent dates, like every 7 days a date, every 7 weeks a getaway, or things like that. But I also like to employ the discipline of writing love letters, not for my wife, although she enjoys them, but for myself. It's actually what it does in me when I write them. And all of a sudden, even when I've written love letters in some of those phases where maybe attraction was at a minimum for my wife, I'll tell you, by the end of that love letter, my emotions were so stoked up. It was just the process of just thinking about my wife and all the good things that she is and all the beauty that she is. It just
Yeah.
kind of stoked it back up again. And so just little disciplines like that, treasuring her, all of a sudden the emotions came right back around again.
So good. Peter, thanks for your wisdom, as always.
Well, hey, it's time to hang out with some of our favorite people right here in our kitchen, our kitchen couples. We've got Mike and Diane right here. And we have Dan and Danielle. Okay.
Okay. And it's a good topic because I think it's a topic that a lot of people deal with. How do I fall back in love with my spouse? You know, it reminds me of that old Righteous Brothers song, You've Lost That Loving Feeling. And I mean, that was popular 60 years ago. But I think it's 64, 19, I looked it up.
But then it was resurrected
In Top Gun.
for the movie Top Gun.
So you weren't, that was before your time.
Yeah. But I think it stood the test of time because of the topic. Everybody can relate to that. So then that begs the question, how do you get the loving feeling back? I don't know. What do you guys think?
I mean, okay, so I have a theory here. Perhaps couples have lost that love-in feeling because they're just not doing things that they love together as much as they used to. Like married life just kind of demands that we're doing a lot of things we dread together. The bills, the chores, changing blowout poopy diapers. I mean, we don't like
These
that.
are things we love?
These are not the things. If you love them, you're a little weird, okay? So, you know, this is just what life is, and so we have to be super intentional to make sure that we're doing things that are new and fun and funny and exhilarating, because when we do those things, you kind of get like a little dopamine hit. And then when you do it together with somebody, you're associating that rush that wants to kind of give you more and more with that person. And so it's connecting you. And so we need to just carve out time to have fun together.
Yeah, sometimes marriage gets a bad rap, right? That marriage somehow kills romance. It somehow makes what was romantic not romantic. But marriage doesn't kill romance. Laziness kills romance.
There you go.
Right?
Yeah.
When we forget, when we stop, we just get overly familiar with each other and we coexist and we stop doing some of those things that we used to do. I read somewhere recently that it would be a great practice to ask your spouse, what did I used to do that I no longer do that you wish I would do again? You know, something like that. Right? I mean, that's like, you got to be ready for that. You got to be ready for that answer, right? What that is. Like, I'm scared to ask that. We're not going to do that right now on TV. But like, what did I used to do that I no longer do? Because we just get overly familiar and we get a little too comfortable with each other. So you got to, you know, it's been said before that what you do, that married couples have to do what you once did naturally, or you have to be intentional to do it. Like what came natural, you just did when you were dating. You have to be intentional to do it. So, and so you have to kind of go after that romance. You have to be intentional to do some of those things.
And that's okay if you have to do that. You're not broken. You're not, you know, it's totally normal to do that. Yeah.
Good points.
Good.
Yeah. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, I really enjoyed the part about writing the love letter, right? And the fact that when you write the love letter, right, and you're talking about who she is and how great she is, and that it actually helps to kind of spark, help you to remember to spark, and I really do believe that what you treasure, right, is ultimately what you pleasure, right, leads to your pleasure. And so that whole idea of really doing our best to honor our bride and to, you know, to lift her up, to look at her and see the best in her, right? And so for me that is it. When I mean, if you don't play, you're not gonna win, right? So the idea here is get in the game, right? And I thought that was such a neat idea, how he was thinking of writing the letter, you know, not yes, she'll enjoy it, but I'm actually going to kind of remember some of the things that and sort of ignite that flame.
Yeah, and a lot of times we just get in our rut. Like you've been married for so many years, and sometimes things have to change, right? You can't just keep doing the same thing over and over again, thinking that it's going to get better. No, that's not going to happen.
That's the definition of insanity.
100%. And there's a quote that says, if you change the way you look at things, then the things that you look at will change. So there has to be a change.
Say that again. Like, that's good. I like that. We could do that again.
If you change the way you look at things, then the things that you look at will change. And it's so true. It's so true in our marriage. We have to be able to change things up and be able to pivot.
Yes.
Right?
Because
you have to be able to make
like
that
you
shift.
said, Diane, you know, sometimes in marriage, we just get in a rut.
Yes.
And all I can see is how he doesn't put his dirty socks in the laundry.
Right.
Or all I can see is, I mean, he does put his dirty socks in, just by the way. But, you know.
At least one of them makes it.
The other one is still over here. But, you know, we can focus on the things that really bug us instead of saying, okay, what is it about him that I love? I love that he puts gas in the car all the time. I do not have to go to a gas station because he does that. Or I love that he takes such good care of me. He's always taking care, like little things. And if we focus what we change how we focus, how we look at it, then we change because we
Because your perspective is powerful.
Exactly.
It changes the way you perceive your spouse. So like he's saying, and like you were saying, when you give your spouse that compliment, not only do they receive the compliment and they feel encouraged, but you are hearing your own mouth say that compliment, and it reinforces you the thing that you're saying. So I tell Danielle she's beautiful. She's like, oh, he thinks I'm beautiful, and I'm also reinforcing in my own mind. It's like, wow, yes, she really is beautiful, right? So it changes the way you think. It serves a double purpose, like the love letters did for him.
Exactly. And when we do marriage seminars across the country, we love traveling across, seeing people in person. One of the things we say is that you need to praise your spouse in front of other people. And it's the same idea. You're hearing your own voice say the words, what a great guy he is. I just so appreciate what he does. And you praise him in front of your kids.
Yes.
You praise him in front of your family.
That's
Your
right.
family needs to hear what a great guy he is, or girl she is, or whatever. And those kind of things go a long way.
And what he repeated several times there, Peter Haas, in that teaching, is that feelings follow focus. And so, and his football example, I thought was a great one. You know, he moved into, Wisconsin, and he didn't really follow football, and then he became a huge fan. But when you think of a fan, a fanatic, a fan is something that you really need when that spark is getting low. You need to fan it into flame. You know, so I think that kind of focus. You need to be a fan of your spouse, and so. But it does take that intentionality. It takes that focus, because you realize, okay, we just become roommates. You know, we're together, but we're not really together emotionally. But that kind of a focus, you can wait for the feelings to catch up, but you do what's right first, and the feelings follow.
And I love, like, flirting. How many married people have been married so long flirt with their spouse? Like, keep flirting. You know, with these little inside jokes. When we were first married, there was a certain candy bar, which will remain nameless, that meant something special to us. And every once in a while, he'll say the name of that candy. I know exactly what he's talking about, but nobody else knows, you know. But little things, you know, just flirt with your spouse. Resurrect that.
Yeah, and we have to remember, too, that if we're going to grow, when we grow, we change. Like something that you used to like, well, maybe that don't turn my spouse on anymore, you know, because we're growing in our relationship. We have to remember that some things do change, and it's okay.
It's okay.
It's
And for that
all right.
reason, you can't be asleep at the wheel.
Exactly.
Because it's changing. The road's turning.
That's
You have to,
That's it. Yeah. And God tells us that He who began a good work in you is able to complete it. So there's always gonna be some shifts and some things. But remember that God is always in control.
You know, I officiated a wedding recently, and one of the things I said to the bride and groom in the ceremony was I did a little teaching about agape love and how you know, there's the other kind of loves in the Bible, and you know, but one is more of a friendship love, and one is more of, a parent-child love, and then there's more of the emotional, passionate love. But agape love is the only one not rooted in emotions, because it's sacrificial, it's committed, it's an act of the will. And so I said, so you're gonna have those times in your marriage when things, those that love and feeling might not be there, but if you lead with agape, you do what you know is right, what you committed to at that altar, in sickness and in health, till death do us part, richer for poor. That commitment, you lead with that, and you stand on that truth, and then the feelings will follow. And it'll be a lifelong
This day and
love.
age, we give too much weight to our feelings. We think that's the big deal, but feelings make a great check engine light, but a terrible GPS.
That's right.
Right? So
That's real good, Dad.
you get the feelings, you recognize that's a check engine light. That's time to make the investment, go back and do the thing. It's not time to get off the road. That's the check engine light to
And
do
too
something
many couples
different.
are just going, they're letting their feelings drive their marriage, and that's the whole reason. Marriage is getting thrown out the window, but the covenant, like you said, that vow that we promise is what keeps us in the times when we're not feeling the feelings.
The umbrella that covers when the feelings are going up and
Exactly.
down. It glues it
So
all
very,
together.
very quickly, men, find a way to win. Yeah.
All right.
There you go. There you go.
Okay, well, this has been good stuff, guys.
has been a
Thanks so
winner
much.
of the show, yeah.
So don't go away. More wins to come.
I'll tell you something. This is one of the signs of the top 10%. If you look at the most satisfied, the happiest couples on the planet, this is something they do.
For more marriage encouragement, follow A Better Us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
And subscribe for your free weekly Marriage Moment email at abetterus.tv.
I love this question because you're being proactive and looking into the future to make sure your relationship is the best it can be. And I'll tell you something, this is one of the signs of the top 10%. If you look at the most satisfied, the happiest couples on the planet, this is something they do. They think about their future and sharing that vision.
Well, dreaming together is a very energizing thing. And it's also kind of a really respectful thing. Like we're going to take the time to understand what's your dream, what's my dream, and how do those dreams fit together.
Right.
Super fun. We actually have a time we set aside once a year.
Every year.
Yep, and we'll sit down, and it's actually so much fun. You look forward to it, and you honestly.
And when you hear that, I know you're thinking, oh, well, they're two psychologists, and they're thinking they do that perfectly. Let me just tell you, it becomes a rhythm, and we do this around New Year's, right? It's a natural time to do that. But you're right, it is fun because we look at all of our photos from the previous year. We think about what have we enjoyed most, what do we want to rebuild into the upcoming year.
Right.
And it's not like you got to, get out charts and graphs and an Excel sheet or something.
Right.
It's just fun, and so don't be intimidated by this.
And here's the thing, some dreams are sort of epic in nature, and others are really ordinary, like little daily things we just want to build in, and they're both really fun. And at the end of a year, whenever you've accomplished them, you get this deep sense of joy. There's a little app where you can just do, a second a day of video, and I think sometimes that's a really fun way, because when you look back over your year after you've dreamed together, even if you don't remember every single day to be intentional, it's amazing how many of those dreams happen because you planted seeds.
And the idea of reviewing that is because it guides your future. It puts the wind in your sails for what do you want to repeat. And then think about categories. You might have financial goals, you might have emotional or physical goals, or
adventure
spiritual
goals.
Adventure goals, right. So it's fun to dream together, and just because you're even asking the question, I know you're going to succeed at doing just that.
We're ready. We've been married 51 years. This past May, 51 years.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
32 years we've been married,
I know the answer.
Okay.
15 years. Yeah.
3 years.
3 years.
Tomorrow, actually.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you.
3 years.
I know. Oh, we met at church. Yeah.
Yeah.
Met in church. It was a Sunday morning.
Well, I worked at a newspaper office, and he worked at a furniture store that was right next door. And so every morning, and I didn't realize this at the beginning, but every morning when I'm walking along the street to work, I walked past the store, and there he was, coincidentally, in the front of the store washing the floor. And
with a mop.
With a mop, yeah. So I think he was trying to impress me with his housekeeping skills, but in any case.
I knew that day when she walked in through that church, I was actually on the platform doing my platform duties, and I just spotted this hot chick, red hair, just walked in at a church downtown. I was doing the greeting time. At that time, churches have greeting time. I just dashed right off the stage toward where Marian was before any other eligible bachelor got to her. Introduced myself. Hi, my name is Ty, like Ty.
Yeah.
The rest is history.
So we met at work. We actually worked together for 4 years.
My sister said that she worked at the hospital with a guy who seemed really nice, and he was a Christian, and if I was moving out, I would have to get connected somehow into the community. And so she arranged it for us to meet.
I bake a lot in my pastime, so I had made this delicious 5-layer cake and couldn't eat it all, so I brought it into work. And then
there was this really nice girl who gave me cake. The funny thing about the story is her sister usually hangs out with rougher type people, so she thought that I was one of them.
Yeah. So I was not excited about
She wasn't
this.
looking forward to it at all.
Yeah.
I had started a baking business, and so I'm an accountant, so it was not like my normal day job. Since Kevin does a bunch of design and everything else, I went to him, and that's actually how we reconnected, is that he made logos and things for me, and he was one person that felt like he truly believed that I could do this, and really invested and was super encouraging. And so, yeah, then from then I was like, ooh, maybe I'll do coffee.
Maybe. What woman wouldn't like a guy who's mopping the floor?
See?
So it worked.
Yeah.
Here we are 51 years later. Do you still mop? Here we are 51 years later.
I think it is that it just helped me to develop as a person. He's been so supportive. He believed in me before I believed in me, and saw the potential in me to even be a leader. And God used him to draw that out of me.
Being married has helped me see myself in a different light. It was a really great mirror. I thought I was perfect. Now I know I'm perfect. Just joking.
I would say it's made me a lot more of a flexible person.
I have more introverted tendencies, and so she's extremely outgoing, so that makes me, it puts me it takes me out of my comfort zone. Guess what I'm getting at. I really learned responsibility, but one of the other things, and probably the most important thing, was as I matured, I began to learn what a deeper love is. As we get older and you're working through things and you're getting used to one another's habits that you don't like and all of those kinds of things, you learn a different kind of love. And I know for me, I really learned what deep love was about, and part of that as well was Christ coming into my life. I'm not as lonely. Yeah. This is the one question that when we were just kind of going through the questions, I had to cry it out because it didn't hit me that I'm not lonely anymore. Because as a, childhood trauma, whatever that you've gone through, you're so used to putting walls up. Like you're sharing that space in you that you hide from everyone else, even your family sometimes. But now that person is there with you, and you're deep with them in that level of
being seen and being known. And it's weird, but also very, very, very good. So.
Hey friends, Ron and Ann here. We're so glad you're with us at A Better Us, and we pray your marriage is blessed as you take this in.
Be sure and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and enjoy this video.
We've come to the end of another program, and we're so glad you joined us.
Our feelings. How many times have we made a decision in life because we felt like it?
Well, that's an okay guide when deciding which restaurant to go to or which movie to watch. It's not so good when evaluating your marriage, because as we all know, feelings will fluctuate.
Yeah. Sure, give your feelings a voice, but not the final say. Don't base long-term decisions on short-term feelings, because that is a recipe for disaster.
Absolutely. Because when it comes to your spouse, there will be days when you're not feeling all the feels that you used to feel. And you know what that means? Nothing. Nothing at all. Feelings come and feelings go.
The us that you established on your wedding day wasn't based on a feeling, it was based on a commitment. And that does not fluctuate.
Perhaps you're struggling right now. You're listening to voices in your life that are telling you if the feelings are gone, so is the relationship. First of all, that is not wisdom. Don't believe them. And second of all, why not talk with someone who can introduce you to the author of all wisdom, Almighty God?
The phone number on the screen is our 24-hour prayer line, and someone from our team would love to pray with you and help you connect with your true source of wisdom. God is always there for you. You just reach out to Him.
Well, thank you for spending some time with us today. And remember, with God, there is always hope to become a better us.
Hey friends, we really hope you're enjoying the marriage conversations here with A Better Us on our YouTube channel.
We have hundreds of more helpful marriage videos designed to give you hope and tools to make your marriage better.
And you can see just a few options we think you might like here and here.
Enjoy! Oh, and make sure you subscribe by clicking here so you don't miss out on all the great marriage help we have coming your way soon.